Yeah, I've always talked at my dad about what I'm doing, what I'm going to be doing, right? I'm going to be this millionaire, this is going to happen, blah, 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 blah. And I always say, it's not about whether it actually happens, right? It's not about whether that happens. And it's not that I'm just talking crap that I'm not doing, because I'm actively doing shit. But as I put it out there, the universe now responds in a certain way. I see his reaction. I see the reaction of my mum. I feel a certain way. I've now changed my perception of that because of how he reacted. It's called feelers. When you put it out there in sound, things change. And then when I wake up the next day, if it's still in alignment, then it will feel right and I'll talk at him again. And if something has changed, then I will have adapted it and then I'll talk at him about something different. And then he might react differently to that version. So by me constantly preaching what I'm going to do, I'm telling him that this isn't necessarily going to happen, but I'm telling the universe that this is what I want right now, and as long as everything stays the same, this will happen.
Yeah, there's a huge power in being witnessed. I mean, I see this so often in my work, and I'm massively journaling, so I express a lot in my journal, and for me, that can be super powerful.
Yeah, journaling's not something that I have got to yet. Something that I want to do. It's one of those things that everyone does. If they meditate, they do yoga, they have their mushroom coffee and they journal. But right now it hasn't called to me to journal, and that might be because I'm already very vocal with my mouth, and part of that journal process is about being able to process your thoughts and understand them, and maybe because I'm already just farting it out without processing it, that I don't feel the need to write it down to understand my thoughts better, because it just comes out. But yeah, something I would like to do, just hasn't come to me yet. Right, so I went to an ecstatic dance on Saturday, and it was the biggest high of my life. Every time I go there, it's like I've taken every drug in the world and I haven't come down. And afterwards, I was starving, hadn't eaten till 2 o'clock, and we were walking past this chicken shop, this kebab shop, and I was like, oh, that'll do. And I was so close to going in there. And then my friend says, no, what's down there? So we don't go in the kebab shop, the shitty kebab shop. We go down there, and there's this Turkish restaurant. And there's 4 ecstatic dancers in there sitting down to have their actual really nice Turkish meal. And so we go in there, we say, can we join you? And then we sit down. I had this amazing meal. And next to me is this person that was also at the dance. Didn't speak to her, didn't know her. And yet we started to speak about astrology, past lives, ghosts, and had the most in-depth, incredible conversation. We spoke about my awakening and linked it to her family life. And that conversation wouldn't have happened if I hadn't of been pulled away by my friend to go and see what was down there. I would have ended up with the shittiest kebab. And instead I had the most amazing Turkish meal and had the most incredible conversation with this person, to the point where it was life-changing, because she told me that I was on the right path. She's an astrologist, and she did my chart, and she was saying how my role in this life is a communicator, using my voice. That's my life purpose. And she was like, you're on the right path. And I was saying how you and me cross paths to give me this confirmation that I am on the right path. So I thought I was supposed to go to that kebab shop. Instead, I ended up in that actual Turkish restaurant to have that conversation. And the point of this is that you will always be pulled to where you're supposed to be. And every decision you make or don't make is the right decision to get to the end goal.
Hell yes. This is my life. You've just given a very small example of my life story. Well, it's not 100% true, but my awakened experience for sure. And that's exactly how I lead my life, is I just follow my intuition, and it just leads me in places, and I land opportunities, and I'm like, I don't even know how I've got this opportunity. And I then create these connections and have these mind-blowing conversations like you're describing. And yeah, how fucking beautiful is that?
Yeah, and when people try and plan stuff on the calendar, like when they go on holiday, on Monday we're doing the water parks, and Tuesday we're going to the mountains, and Wednesday we're going to the beach. All your scripting shit, you're supposed to be where your energy is supposed to be. If you're following a calendar, then you're going to be in the wrong place all the time. And from experience, when you try and plan shit, it doesn't work out as you planned. So you go to the water park, it's closed, or the ride's too busy, so you go somewhere else anyway. So all that time and energy spent the day before planning it was simply just a waste of time. You could have been present doing something else in that moment, speaking to a partner, going on a walk, watching TV, and all that energy was just wasted. And that same process applies to everyone's life every day. We're constantly planning stuff for tomorrow, when tomorrow, who knows what's going to happen. The same as when you want to improvise in a drama set, you can write your script out, right? But when push comes to shove and you're on that stage, you're probably going to wing it anyway. So all that writing was just a waste of time.
No, this was my life. We're conditioned to plan. We're conditioned to live in our heads and have everything fucking organized. And that was me, like pretty much for most of my life. I planned the fucking ass out of everything and didn't allow my feminine intuition to lead me. And when we are embodied and awake, we get to tap into that juicy energy and let go of the plan. And I have a great example of this that literally has happened in the last few days, actually, which I could share if you like. So I was recently in Berlin, and I was speaking at a festival over there, which was like incredible. And it really expanded me, like the whole experience. Like I grew as a result of leading these workshops and led in a way that I'd never led before. And it was just like really powerful. But anyway, as I was landing in the UK, the first post I saw on Instagram when I landed was about this TV casting, right? So I've had this vision of myself on the red carpet forever, right? So I know it's like an absolute knowing in my body, I am famous. Like it's done, right? Non-negotiable. Like people come up to me in the street where I live and like, oh, you're like semi-famous, they think I'm a celebrity. And I know this is like just the start of it. So saw this post about a TV casting, and I was like, they were like, just drop an email, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, here's me. Next day, I had an interview on the phone. The day after that, I had the second interview, right? They all lined up like this. Then on the Monday, so that was the Wednesday was the first thing, Thursday, Friday. On the Monday, I had an email asking me, could I get a kind of physical sign off from my doctor. On the Wednesday, I got an email saying, could I have all your sizes, please? It's like, yeah, absolutely. Here you are. On the Friday, I got a call to say, you got down to the final 6, right? We're going to take 5. You're number 6. So I was like, here we are again. This is the second time I've got super close to being on that, being filmed, being on TV. So I was like, took that information, had a moment of pity party, and then went, I still feel I'm going to be there, right? Oh, yeah, because I missed a bit. She said, would you be happy to be standby if someone drops out? And I was like, I run my own business. So yes, I can have 2 days clear next week because I control my diary. So yeah, no problem. I'll keep Wednesday and Thursday free. The space was there, right? So I'm like, yeah, like this is happening. Yesterday afternoon, Sunday, about 5 o'clock, I have a phone call. Is this Claire? Yes, it's me. Oh, it's so and so from TV production place. Can't say the name. Someone's dropped out. Yeah, no shit, they have. Because I knew I was going to be there. Can you still wait Wednesday? Absolutely, I can. So, in 2 days' time, I will be driving very early to London and spending 2 days filming because I haven't planned everything. I've just let it come to me.
Yes, I too have the same story. I did Naked Attraction 2 years ago. And before that, I was in the box 3 years ago. And I too wanted to be famous to promote my podcast on the platform. I was in the box. I got voted out first because of my long ball. So I'm in the box. I was very angry. I was going, no airtime. Fuck. Right. And I was very angry. And I went out the back and I had a little cry to the production team, like, okay. And I said, right, I'm going to be back next year. Trust me, I'm going to be picker. I wanted to be picker. And I only went there because they said, you might be picker. Now I know that once they've made their mind up, you're probably not, right? Because you got to do the pre-recording and after. But I listened to them and I thought, okay, there's a chance, but I'll go as a person in the box and hopefully I'll be picker. So I got there. I was going to be in the box. Fine. I'm not picker. I will be picker next year. I'm telling everybody. Then I apply again, or they call me back, and it's like, Oliver, you happy to be in the box? I said I want to be picker. Oh, we can't guarantee it. I want to be picker, or I'm not interested. End of story. Right? So they kept coming back, blah 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 blah, and I made it very clear: I am picker, or I'm not coming. Okay? I am upgrading from the last year, which was I was in the box. Now I want the show about me, talk about my podcast. Right. I held on to this belief that I will be on the show and I will be picker, non-negotiable. Okay. So they had one last day. They recorded the whole series. They did their 12 shows and they had 1 day left spare because they did all the shit before for one more show. Right. They called me and said, Oliver, we've got 1 day left to do one show. Can't guarantee we'll use it. Are you still interested? I said, absolutely, I am. They said, can you come to Manchester next week? Right. So I went to Manchester next week and I recorded the final episode of the series, which should never have happened. But because I told the universe I'm fucking getting on this show, because I've been telling myself and the production team for the whole year, I will be back as a picker, not in the shitting box, and the show will be about me. And he'll come down and do the intro and the filming in my area and put the intro together and the ending. It was non-negotiable, and it happened. And I was picker. And they said about Oliver is a podcaster. And then people go onto Google, they type my name, Oliver Naked Attraction. My Instagram comes up. They found the podcast. I planned the whole thing. I changed my bio, so Oliver Naked Attraction 28. So I knew they would type that in and they would find me because I created the life that I wanted at that moment. I manifested it and it was non-negotiable, like you, that you were getting that call. Someone's going to drop out. There's going to be an extra space. It doesn't fucking matter. It was going to happen. And it's the same story.
Yes, I love this. And that's it. It's just having that, that belief. It's like, I am, like, that's what I really heard from you. Is like you going, I am picker. And that's how you manifest, going, I am. Like, use that as the framework. I am famous, or I am a 7-figure business owner, whatever it is, right? I love that story. Of course you created that. And there's so much power within us that most people are not tapped into. And when you're leading your life in the way that we are taught, which is, plan, work hard to get results. That's that's the narrative that we are led to believe. And what that doesn't do is create this space to be able to play with what actually we're really feeling and where we need to be.
Yeah, obviously, Joe Dispenza, I'm sure you know about him. He is helping people heal cancer by putting them into a meditation state. But the key ingredient is that they are going there to heal their cancer and they're not leaving this retreat until it's healed. Their belief system allows their own body to get to work. Without that belief system, the outcome is the opposite, which is I didn't believe it and it's not going to happen. And, there's somebody on Instagram right now who's lost an arm and he's meditating and documenting his journey. He's on day 32 of trying to regrow his arm back. And I know from Joe telling me that someone regrew their thyroid. So some woman had a thyroid removed. She regrew it through meditation. We know that snakes shed their skin and octopuses grow another leg. And there's other animals and insects out there that regrow the parts that they lost or got cut off. And if we're all made from the same atom, for example, why would a human be any different to a fish or a cow or a butterfly? And I'm looking at this guy and I'm actually thinking, I know that anything is possible, but can you really grow an arm? He's literally like that. And I'm thinking, is he going to grow fingers? And I'm like, well, I know it's actually possible, but is he really going to grow an arm? And I'm like, I do believe in anything, but this is something else, because the thyroid thing is a rare thing. I've never heard that before. And Joe was also very surprised. He didn't know that this was possible. And he always says he is learning every day that the impossible can be achieved. He's learning as he goes along. You can heal any disease, any cancer. So the body part, who knows? This probably will be the first. But this is going to be very interesting, because if he does grow his arm back, fuck me, this changes everything in life.
Doesn't it? Oh my God. Like that is such a, oh, it's just fucking mind blowing, and the fact we're talking about it, it's like, again, putting it out there that anything is possible and we can tap into this power within.
Yeah, I've always talked at my dad about what I'm doing, what I'm going to be doing, right? I'm going to be this millionaire. This is going to happen, blah, 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 blah. And I always say, it's not about whether it actually happens, right? It's not about whether that happens. And it's not that I'm just talking crap that I'm not doing, because I'm actively doing shit. But as I put it out there, the universe now responds in a certain way. I see his reaction. I see the reaction of my mum. I feel a certain way. I've now changed my perception of that because of how he reacted. It's called feelers. When you put it out there in sound, things change. And then when I wake up the next day, if it's still in alignment, then it will feel right. And I'll talk at him again. And if something has changed, then I will have adapted it. And then I'll talk at him about something different. And then he might react differently to that version. So by me constantly preaching what I'm going to do, I'm telling him that this isn't necessarily going to happen, but I'm telling the universe that this is what I want right now. And as long as everything stays the same, this will happen. If something changes, something else will happen. And I'll talk about that tomorrow. But right now, this is what I'm visualizing I want to happen. And this is what I'm putting out. And even if you're not listening, doesn't matter. I'm still putting it out. But it's very important to have a receiver to reciprocate the energy. It needs to do a full circle. You can't just talk to a wall. Someone has to be acknowledging and aware of what you're saying, even though they might not agree, because then the current has done a full circle.
Yeah, there's a huge power in being witnessed. I mean, I see this so often in my work, and I lead a membership group called the Liberation Lounge, and we only meet once a fortnight, right? That's it. And it's a group, it's for an hour on Zoom. But I can't tell you the amount of shifts and transformations that are being created in that group. And it's like my lowest level, like, way to coach with me and be in my energy and in my world. But what I'm witnessing is like the power of that. It's just incredible. So yeah, I really hear you. I mean, I use I'm massively into journaling, so I express a lot in my journal. And for me, that can be super powerful.
Yeah, journaling's not something that I have got to yet. Something that I want to do. It's one of those things that everyone does. If they meditate, they do yoga, they have their mushroom coffee and they journal. But right now it hasn't called to me to journal. And that might be because I'm already very vocal with my mouth. And part of that journal process is about being able to process your thoughts and understand them. And maybe because I'm already just farting it out without processing it, that I don't feel the need to write it down to understand my thoughts better because it just comes out. But yeah, something I would like to do. Just hasn't come to me yet.
Yeah, it's recognizing your way, isn't it? And I know it's powerful for me to voice as for anyone, right? But in the absence of someone to voice it to, I will write it in my journal. And I know that, yeah, just me expressing is just super powerful. But I think it's just acknowledging your way. And I think yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say on that, really. You'll know if you need to explore that way.
But on the famous thing, I wanted to be famous growing up, and what I decoded the fame to be is being recognized in the way that I want to be recognized. And so I would, in my mindset, go through different versions of what fame would be. Fame in a room where everyone comes up to you and knows you, and then you leave the room and go outside and no one knows who the fuck you are. Versus walking down the street, people recognize you. You go in the room, people recognize you. And I was trying to compare what would I like, and then I thought, well, actually, I'm a very in my own world person. When I'm in the spa at David Lloyd, I don't want to speak to anybody. So would I really want to walk down the street and people want to speak to me when I don't really want to speak to you unless I'm actively speaking to you? And the answer is no. But then I thought, I do want the ability to be on and be me all the time because I get a reaction. I like a reaction. I like helping people and I like talking. But then also, I need to have off time. And I wouldn't have an off time if I simply was just famous. So then I thought, okay, being recognized in a field where when I go into that environment of people, they know exactly what I do in my work. Is that the better answer versus just being recognized because they simply know your face? And then I thought, yes, that's what I'm after, is recognition in the way that I want to, where I can be me because you're expecting me to be me because you know what I'm like. So it's almost like you give me permission to start talking, and I still get the peace and quiet when I'm out and about. Even though I would like to tell jokes and do some stupid shit on camera, I admire my own time by myself as much as being with people. And that was my journey from after the naked attraction. Do I really want fame, or is it just I want recognition? And it seems like it's the same, but it isn't. But it's very close. And unless you analyze it, it can be misconstrued as fame. That's what I that's what I came to when after I'd been on the show.
Mm. Yeah, I love the how you dived into the specifics around that because yeah, it's going to be different for everyone. And I think, when you are, you know, impacting lots of people through your work, in that kind of fame way, um, looking after, being able to protect your own energy is super important. And yeah, I'm a massive extrovert, but I equally really love time on my own. Like that's deeply important. It's when I get to really connect with myself and really get to hear my intuition. And I love being in nature. I love dancing. I'm always out dancing on the streets. And I think this afternoon I'm going to go and jump in the river. And so that time for myself is like so vital, I find. And I think, yeah, we're doing powerful work, so it's creating that kind of harmony, isn't it?
Yeah, so I did mushrooms at the ecstatic dance, and when I was dancing for like 25 minutes, my eyes were closed and I was just in my own world, seeing lights and these images, and sort of with my hands moving to the images. And for that point, the outside world didn't exist. There was 300 people in the room probably looking at me because I was at the front, and they were doing their own little thing, and I was like facing that way when I thought I was facing that way. But the point was is that I was internal. I was in my own energy, my own feeling. And if, for example, I was in the gym and I had my headphones on, unless I went into that mindset before that I'm going to dance in front of people, I couldn't just start dancing in the gym, right? Not that I wouldn't have the confidence, because I do. Aesthetic dance, I'm just crazy. But the mindset of, okay, I'm in the gym, everyone else here is in their own little world doing their own little thing. I'm going to pick up on the energy. It's going to be weird and awkward. Whereas at the dance, because everyone's already in their own world and they're expecting you to be in their own world, there's no awkward energy. So when I had my eyes closed and I was doing this, it was like they weren't even there. And I opened my eyes and everyone was just doing their own weird shit. And the point of that is that I controlled the feeling that I wanted to feel, and I stayed in it. And I suddenly had awarenesses of, there's people here still probably watching, and I didn't care because I was in this own little bubble. And get into that bubble, if you can, is the aim of life, of feeling that high all the time with nothing, with your eyes closed, and simply just consciousness.
Yeah. I'm a massive fan of ecstatic dance. I actually lead one myself. About to lead the second one in my the town that I'm living in right now, in Marlborough. And yeah, I think there is, having spaces where you can, really like start to go into yourself, but also just express yourself in a way that it doesn't matter. Like, there's no judgment. And it's like, I think creating those safe spaces and communities where people can really tap into that energy within is, it's underrated. It's really underrated. And I think, for me, it's huge. I love ecstatic dance. I mean, I do ecstatic dance most days in my own way. I have the churchyard in my town is like my ecstatic dance floor. I'm there every morning. Normally there's no one there, or there might be a homeless guy. And I just allow myself to move whatever is inside me, and start to embody the feeling state that I want to take into my day. And I think, it's what you said about being really super conscious. Where is it that you go, by the way, to your dance?
So it's a static dance in London.
Oh yeah.
It's the biggest one in London. Just Instagram ecstatic dance London. And it's been around for 15 years, and it is perfected to the T. They've mastered it, and it's the biggest high for 4 hours, from entry point to the center point, then the cacao bit, and then the sound bath bit, and then the breath work and all the humming and all the other crap we do. And then you go down, and then you have the fruit at the end, and then you talk, and then you leave. They've mastered it. And
that's so nice.
I used to dance like that when I was clubbing when I was 18, because I've never drunk. I don't drink. And I used to dance like that around a load of drunk 18-year-olds. And then people would sort of, yeah, he's a lad. And then all of a sudden their own unhappiness would kick in, and then they would disperse and separate. And then I'd just be left dancing like a chimp by myself, and they wouldn't be there, because all of a sudden the energy was too much. It reflected their own unhappiness, and they couldn't be there. And then I stopped clubbing, because I realized the more I was evolving and awakening, the more happy and content I was within myself, the more I could just not give a fuck. The more they were still in that little bubble mode of I care about everything and anyone, I had to stop going clubbing. And then all of a sudden, I found out about static dance. I turned up to a dance near me. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was sound baths. And I turned up, and it was just the disco, basically. And that was the first time I had ever been to it. And then I went to the London scene, which is like a more extreme version of it. And I've never gone back. And it is life changing. And to think that that is going to be there forever, to me, like-minded people like us forever, who are into all of the shit that we're into, like sound baths and yoga and tantra and meditation, it's dreamy to know these people exist, when I thought that me and how I was just me. But then there is people out there, and now you've got a hub to connect them all. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so powerful to find those communities where, yeah, you're all rising together, but you can just be yourself fully. You don't have to conform to, the David Lloyd kind of rules that day, or whatever the bullshit is that's going on. And yeah, I mean, I love that for my yoga practice. Like I do hot pod yoga, and I love that I can show up in that space and I just tune into my body. I'll listen to what the yoga teacher is sharing, but I don't always do those moves. I'll do what my body is telling me, which is quite often something completely different to everyone else in the room. And for years, I would never have done that. I wouldn't have wanted to stand out in that way. And it's like, no, you're born to stand out. Like, we all are born to stand out. And it's, goes right back to kind of school, really, where we are told to conform and fit in a box and sit still and be good and smile and don't say anything that's not nice, and all those things, like, just get deeply ingrained and stop people being that fullest expression.
Yeah, and when I am in it, like for example, when I'm in yoga class, I'm following the teacher, but I'm also doing what I want. And they always say, feel free to do what you want. Don't feel pressure to do a certain move. Like, do it at your own pace. Yoga's about your own body. So if you don't want to do that, don't. But people do that because they naturally follow. They don't want to stand out. I just do what I want. If I want to stand up when everyone's sitting down, I just stand up. If my legs are in the air and everyone else is lying flat, yeah, it's almost like I purposely try and stand out. Unconsciously, I probably do, but at the same time, I've always just done what I've wanted to do. Well, I don't care anyway. But and that does go back to, like, school days where you are different. And so, like, Katy Perry with her big pink hair and Lady Gaga with the big steak on her head and all these famous people, they purposely stand out more because they always didn't fit in. So it's like, well, if I'm going to stand out, I might as well really stand out. And like Katy Perry and Lady Gaga and Jessie J, they have got family and kids and they've settled down and they don't feel the need to stand out anymore. I, on the other hand, are the same. I don't feel the need to stand out anymore. But because it's ingrained in me to be different, I can't help it. I can't help but do something on purpose just to be different. Like, yeah, that's it really. But the whole point is that not being afraid to be yourself. That's the key thing here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's, I really relate to what you're saying, because I don't kind of like, show up at CrossFit or yoga or wherever and go, right, I'm going to stand out today. It just naturally happens for me. I'll start just breaking out into a song or dance move in the middle of a lift or whatever, and no one else is doing that. But I think it's about inspiring and leading. That's how I really see it. It's like showing that actually it's okay to do something different and do whatever the fuck you want. And if someone doesn't like that, then that isn't, there's nothing about myself anyway. Because yeah, I think we're powerful mirrors, whether people recognize it or not.
Yes, after one of the ecstatic dances, we did Ministry of Sound. So they hired out Ministry of Sound in London, and it was just the static dancers in the Ministry of Sound, right? Most magical thing ever. 400-500 people in the room dancing sober, like we're in fucking Ministry of Sound Saturday night. Everyone is drunk on coke. We're all sober. Best night ever. We then went to this local kind of food village afterwards with, like, it's like a bar, loads of different food places. And then you've got the usual people drinking, drunk. Everyone's just like in a state. And then we come along afterwards and we start just dancing. And all of a sudden, everyone starts coming towards us. They're like, what the hell is going on? So now we created like this massive group of other people to come along to dance with us. And we were a magnet and an inspiration for people just to dance and not give a fuck. Now, they were drunk, so they probably couldn't feel their nerves anyway. But the point is that we were ourselves. We led the way through being creative. Other people came, and actually, we were saying how that actually was better than the dance. That after bit, which should never have happened, felt better than the dance because we became this like, come on, come and join us, which is what the dance is all about. Calm down and experience it of freedom within. No one cares, no one's judging, and you'll never look back. And that was magical.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And I think, yeah, whether people realize or not, everyone wants to feel free. And, you know, when you access these kinds of communities and, you know, let go of the drinking and whatever else that you need to allow yourself to be liberated. And I'm not saying that from a judgmental place. It's just like, just stepping into the energy, and even if you're just present with it can be really powerful, even if you don't feel ready to, you know, go for it on the dance floor like a lunatic, like probably we do. I think, you know, I always say that to people who are looking at coming to mine. It's just like, just come and be there, just be in the vibe. And I know that just being in the energy is going to be super powerful. And there was a word I've lost, but it'll come back.
What started your awakening? Was it anything specific?
Yeah, it was. So I was married for 21 years, and I was running my business, my coaching business, was always pretty much working, you know, one-to-one, had done a few group things, and got an intuitive hit to run a retreat. And literally, it was like I described about the TV thing showing up. Every single step just showed up, like one after the other, like it does, but like effortless. And in 10 days, I'd sold out the whole of retreat, didn't even know what it was about, right? And then I was like, notice I went into my head going, aha, what are you actually going to teach them? It's like, well, I don't teach, I coach. So they bring the content. So I literally showed up in the space. I knew it would be hugely transformational for these women. What I didn't realize was it would be the start of my own awakening, right bang in the middle of the retreat. And I had this huge breakdown. My coach was there, and I had a proper pity party right in the middle of the retreat. The women had just stepped inside to get a cup of coffee. I was in the garden just fucking throwing my toys out the pram, and meltdown central, right? It was in the space of minutes, but this was all going on. Broke down, floods of tears, and something shifted in my body. It's really hard to even put into words, but it was like an energetic shift, but I physically felt it. And literally from that moment, I went from, you know, not really being fully connected to my body and who I was and my sexuality. That was a big part of my awakening, to just suddenly having this energy and felt turned on, alive from the inside out, and my whole vibration changed. And from that day on, my life changed, and I stepped away from my marriage 3 weeks after.
So you carried on coaching after your pity prammy thing you said, but you
Yeah.
had the awakening, carried on, and then you think, right, I've got to get back to work. What was that about? And then that's when everything happened.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. That was like in a 10-minute window where this thing happened, you know, that something moved in my body. I I then just felt like this expanded self. Funnily enough, I'd just written an article for the press all about this, and it was like I felt expanded. I felt like I'd grown 10 foot.
Do you know what the trigger was? Was it something someone said or did, or was it the energy of all these
I
people
didn't.
that?
No, I didn't. I wasn't seeing and owning my value and my power, and my coach in that moment helped me to see that I just made this gigantic impact on these women, but I'd not seen it. She helped me see that. As soon as I saw it, that's when the shift happened and something energetically changed. And then I just had this new level of confidence, courage, just felt invincible. But I'm sure you can probably relate to this, Oliver. But then that caused me to throw everything up into the air, like everything, relationship, friends, all my adopted beliefs, and just all the conditioning. And I made choices based on what felt right for me rather than what I thought I needed to do, which was radical and went totally against everything that I'd ever been taught. And what I realized is that journey doesn't ever stop. So it's constant. You know, a week in my life feels like I'm navigating years. That's how I describe it. So yeah, it's been incredible. It's been incredible, and I feel more alive than I've ever felt.
Right. We can talk about, I've got stuff coming to my head. We can talk about that on another episode. Anything you want to promote and plug before we finish?
Oh, thank you. And I'd love to chat with you again for sure. So my signature program is called The Awakening. And I have spaces right now to coach with me one-to-one. I also have a brand new course that's coming out called Embodied Dating, which is supporting women to really embody like all of their energy and power and be able to heal the old wounds and patterns that is running the show and causing them to attract the wrong partners. And then my Liberation Lounge, which is a super powerful membership for women too.
Okay. And if you had one day left to live, what is the one thing that you would tell the whole world?
One day left to live. What would I tell the whole world?
The most impactful thing you could say?
Always honor your truth.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please remember to subscribe, turn the bell notifications on, like the episode, and comment below. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's YesKingOliver. Take a look at the other videos to your side. And if you just want to listen to this podcast, you can do so on Apple and Spotify and most other platforms by going to talkwitholiver.com.